typically people who are actually outsourcing the work and their bosses don't know that they're outsourcing the work.
Really?
Oh yeah, I
That's
get a
so
lot
funny.
of those. And they're willing, they get a certain budget for their department, so then they'll just pay me their budget.
That's so, and for them it's like a win because they're gonna make more or something, right?
Exactly, and they're hiring the expert, so it's like they feel confident giving my press release to their boss.
What's the biggest thing people come to you and that's like their biggest fear or the biggest reason they don't want to do this, let's say?
You sign up on that app called WAG where you literally walk people's dogs for them and you can
That's
still make up like, oh my God. But there's an app like that for everything. So it's like, you can make $30 an hour walking people's dogs just to make your rent if you're afraid you're going to be homeless. Or it's like, there are so many ways to make money today. And that's always what I'm trying to like share with people.
You're listening to Board with Nelly.
Alex, welcome to the podcast. First of all, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Nelly.
I'm really excited to have you because a bunch of people, a lot of my friends were talking to me, telling me about Fiverr, Freelance, and then, I saw your name being thrown around a lot, and I thought, for me, it'd be a good educational pod. I've been doing some freelance for about a couple months now, but doing YouTube stuff, so I want to just take some knowledge from you and pass it on, hopefully to other people that are looking for it. So tell me about your journey a little bit.
Sure. My journey, it's a funny one. It's an accidental one. I went to work in corporate America after graduating from college because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And like most people, I absolutely hated it. And I thought, there's nothing I can do, right? Like, this is life. You're supposed to work until you retire and then enjoy it. All the stupid things we're told. And I was like, you know what? I don't accept that for myself. So I quit when I was 22. I had no plan. And I started to freelance write. And I really did not have experience for it. I wasn't like, quote unquote qualified. You really never are. People always get like hung up on that. But I just started to see, what can I make work? And it happened to be Fiverr was the site I went on at the time that kind of blew up for me. And I definitely never thought 6, almost 7 years later now I would be, telling people about it like I am. I definitely had no idea it would become what it became for me. But that's why now I always encourage people to quit your job if you're miserable. Obviously have some plans in place. You don't need to do it as dramatically as I did. But
yeah. Do you think the qualified thing is overrated? Because you're not qualified in your regular job anyways. Like I know my first job wasn't qualified for the first year and a half.
I think that's all made up. I think it's like a fear tactic that people use as a way to either keep other people down or as a way to tell themselves that they don't have what it takes to go do it, because it's all scary. It's all risk taking. And it's all these things that people are super uncomfortable with, because I don't really think we're ever encouraged to take risks, all 18 years in our schools. So
you're told to go down the secure route. This is the big reason why, when I saw your story, it kind of resonated with me a big time, because I also had a similar path, I would say, to yours. So about 23, I got my first engineering job. So I live in Canada on the border with Detroit. Started working in the States, 9 to 5. I spent maybe 10 hours a week commuting. I was not a really good morning person. I didn't like it. I'm like, this, did I make it? Is this making it? I'm almost making close to 6 figures. And I'm like, I'm not making it. I'm not happy about this. So your story really resonated with me.
Yeah. That was exactly the internal dialogue I had. My job at the time was paying $36,000 per year in a city like New York City, which is impossible to live comfortably on anyway. And I just remember thinking okay, this sucks. I have absolutely no work-life balance because I'm still working 12 hours a day and commuting. I can't even afford my living and I hate this. So I'm like, none of this makes any sense. It's like, this doesn't even pay good. So that was kind of my thought. What am I doing?
Maybe even a blessing though, because for me, the pay was nice, but it didn't change anything. To me, I still felt like, I was in a little prison. There's this, I don't know if you've seen Narcos with Pablo Escobar.
No, I haven't. People love that show though.
So there was a part where he gets captured, and then he works out a deal with the government where they give him literally his own prison. He has a soccer field. He can bring in hookers. It's his own little private mansion. And he's he can get whatever he wants. but he has to remain in the thing. So it's like he's still technically in the cage. So in his mind, he could never be happy with that because he knew like they were the ones that put him there. And it doesn't matter what you have, you're still a bird in a cage kind of like analogy, right?
Yeah, no, and I used to text my mom and say that I was like a fairy in a cage and like my wings are like being plucked off my back. Very dramatic statement, but that is actually exactly how I felt. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Right. So you started freelancing just straight out the bat. You didn't have any backup plan. You needed to make that work.
Yeah, I started to freelance on 3 different sites, and I started to say, hey, I'll do social media management. Mind you, 7 years ago, all that is posting a photo and commenting. Today you need to have a little more experience probably if you're going to go manage someone's social media. But back then I was like, oh, I'm 22. I probably get this social media stuff way better than a 50-year-old. So I'll post to Instagram for them. Most people didn't even have Instagram yet. So that was I was just willing to like make whatever work. And I never once positioned myself as this expert or authority at all. I let people know, hey, I'm kind of new to this, but that's why I'm not charging a lot at the same time. And they're like, works for us because we don't want to pay a lot.
Right.
And, next thing you know, you do that for a year or 2, and all of a sudden you are a quote unquote expert in your little niche because you've done it every day for 2 years.
Right. What was that working like that time? Was it like the wild, wild west? You had like weird contracts and you had sketchy clients and like, there was no like foolproof plan where like they pay you on PayPal and like, what was that like?
That's where I think it was a blessing. I was on Fiverr because Fiverr has always acted as like the intermediary or like the third party between you and a buyer. So I never had like any sketchy money problems or anything. So Fiverr would step in, but Fiverr was still way more underdeveloped than it is now too. So I would have crazy clients flip out, and then Fiverr would be like, oh, we have to refund them. And I'm like, that's not fair. I had all sorts of crap happen along the way. So whenever anyone's like, oh, it looks so glamorous, I'm like, no, trust me, it was not glamorous. But yeah, it was the wild west of freelancing. I mean, I would tell people, oh, I'm a freelancer. And they'd go, you're a what? Like, what is that? I still think people don't really know what it means.
Right.
But 6 years ago, they were like, okay, Alex, whatever you say. Yeah, whatever. They're like, okay, she's gone nuts. So I'm happy it's become more mainstream because people maybe understand what I do now, but back then no one knew.
What was the money like? What was the business side of it? Was it like you were getting by or compared to your previous job, you probably thought, hey, this is not even that different than what I was getting paid before.
Yeah. No, the irony was the first year when I had quit that job and dove in head first, I made $36K, which is exactly what I was going to make, except I was 200% happier and I was able to move around. So I was working on a train and I was traveling. I think I went to Iceland or whatever. So I was so happy making that $36K because I was free. And I was so set to do that for the rest of my life. That was the plan. The next year I then moved up to 68K and I was like, what the frick? This is insane. Again, so happy with that. And then, then it kind of, I don't know, whatever like math expression
like
that is.
Exponential growth.
Yes. It hit that exponential curve thereafter, which has every day I wake up and I'm still kind of like shocked by.
Right. But do you think do you like dislike the fact that money's brought so much into this equation when in reality, the real thing behind freelancing is, to me at least, or to, I would say many people, is like the time, being your own boss, all these other benefits, but like the money is the really catchy, baity thing that everyone wants.
Yeah, no, there's definitely 2 sides to it. Yeah. I mean, are there days when I'm kind of bummed that that's all people talk to me about? Yes. But at the same time, I'm actually happy to be transparent about it because I'm like one of those people, I do actually like to help people. I actually care about other people and stuff at times. Sometimes people piss me off, but yeah, I mean, I've become known as like the girl who makes a lot of money on Fiverr, and a lot of people hate me for that. But yeah, they don't realize like that's just what those news articles chose to run. I didn't have a say in that. And I don't regret that. I'm just embracing it instead and being like, all right, guys, if you follow me, I'm going to like show you everything so that you guys can do this too. Because I don't want to be out here doing this alone.
They have this weird coverage. I think I remember seeing the CNBC one where like they didn't want to mention that you like also have other people that help you with this, which I thought was really weird. for anyone that understands like online, freelance, right? Like, you have to get help if you want to scale it. You literally can't output a certain amount.
I almost think that that's so self-explanatory that I felt like they felt that's probably redundant to put in, because when people are like so mad about that, I'm like, guys, it's obvious. Like, if you read any article about like a Gary Vee or anyone, and they talk about Gary Vee's success, like there's 500 people who helped him achieve that success. They don't normally mention it. So I didn't think it was weird that they left it out. But when I did that video with them, we filmed for 2 straight hours. I talked with them, and then, 10 minutes.
They took whatever. You didn't have any creative control. They just did.
No.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I knew that sitting down for it. I mean, I was actually very happy still with how that video turned out, because I was like, oh God, like it will make me look like I suck or something. But yeah, I was surprised by how like up in arms people were about that.
Yeah. You talk a lot about traveling. Did traveling change your perspective on like kind of what you want in life? Because for me, traveling was enormous to figuring out like, okay, I don't need this. I like this and that kind of stuff.
Definitely. I've made travel like my number one priority since I was 20. Like, I was spending money to go to places when I didn't even have money to stay at hotels. I would like camp and stuff. It was probably dangerous. Like, I mean, I think travel is a huge part of everything that I've worked towards or like curated my life around, because I've identified that that's like something that I love to do. And I always tell people, like, you got to learn that about yourself.
Right. Do you think maybe the next step, I guess, for you, because you already have a very clear path that you took and you showed people how to get there, is to look for other paths and other avenues? Because it's very tough for me to tell a random friend of mine that did this one thing, okay, you should do this, you should do it this way. It's like, no, you have to figure out your own way to get to this objective.
Yeah, I think that's a hard thing for me when I have people basically asking me to help them with that specifically. And I'm like, listen, guys, I can tell you how to set up a Fiverr profile. I can explain what financial freedom means. Yeah, I can tell you all these things, but I can't be you. I can't go into your brain, people will say to me like, well, I'm not that good at writing. I'm like, that's fine. You can sell like 15 other things on Fiverr. I'm never saying you have to go be a freelance writer. I'm trying to show people what an option is for them. But yeah, they have to they have to get there themselves. And I think a big part of being a freelancer or an entrepreneur or a business owner is you have to be obsessed with research yourself and figuring stuff out yourself. There's no more hand holding.
Right. But at the same time, there's also a wealth of resources from people that have done it. So it's not like impossible. Back in the old days, you're just like, fucking roll some dice. Let's see what happens.
Totally. I mean, it's changed so much in 6 years. Like when I started doing this 6 years ago, there was nothing. So it's like I had to try and fail so many times to get here. And now I'm sharing so much invaluable information with people that when they're still like, well, I don't get it. I'm like, you guys, there's never been more free like information at your disposal in human history. Okay. Like it's right in your computer. I promise.
I think the reason I relate as well is because I have a very weird journey as well. So I have an engineering degree, finished an engineering background. I also quit a job, but that's just because I didn't like it. I didn't have a plan to just do videos and do something else in my life. While I was in this process of trying to figure out, my goal was always just to make content, and that isn't always a clear, I can turn this into a business. I just did it because I liked it and I enjoyed doing it. And then I didn't really think long-term what it can turn into. And then it's only in the past like year or so that I figured out, I know how to edit podcasts. I know how to edit videos. I know how to make thumbnails. I know how to do like search engine optimization. I know how to do all this stuff that I thought everyone was telling me like, what, you were wasting your time. When in reality, I was just investing in something that I could sell a bit later down the road.
100%. That's exactly it to all of this. And with the internet today, it's like your market is all 8 billion people on the planet now. It's no longer the 3 people who live on your street. So you could have expertise in fake house plants and how to position them properly in your living room. I'm looking at my fake house plants right now. And you could sell that service literally, because even if you appeal to 0.00001% of people, that's still like 10,000 clients out there that want to use you. So it's an amazing time for all of this. Like you can monetize any interest or passion of yours. And yeah, as you saw, that forcing yourself to learn all these different skills to be successful online, like gives you all of these things that you can sell in the meantime.
And I'll be honest, it sucked at first. Like I was awful in videos. The editing sucked, like all these other things. Like it was not whoever watched it, thank you so much. Like, I owe you like something. I'll buy you a dinner. Like, it was the 6 people that watched the videos, but over time it got better. And then as it got better, oh, okay, now I have like a certain amount of videos or views, whatever. Now I have actual like accolades, just like you have a degree. Oh, I have like a viral video that I can say to a company, hey, I know I can do this for you. If I, whatever your problem is, I can solve your problem. So if you can solve someone's problem, that's like the most valuable, I think, thought.
100%. And I think our education system, both at the high school level and the college level, does not share any of this with people. And I see everyone ends up at 22 with student debt, and they have no idea that all of this is right at their disposal. And I think that's like the person I'm trying to target the most, is like the 22-year-old who is sitting there going like, wow, is this really real life? Like, do I have to and hate my life for 30 years? Because nobody has told them, up through 22 that actually, no, you don't.
Right. There's another way to do this.
Yeah. And that's why I love to share so much content now. And I'm sure, same with you, you want to get your story out there and be like,
of course.
This doesn't have to be horrible.
It doesn't. I think the pandemic was also kind of a blessing in disguise for many people, because they realized, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to be here. Now that I'm here and forced to be here, I don't want to be here. It's like, now that I'm doing this and forced to do this, I don't want to do this. So it gave you like a perspective change potentially.
It totally did. And March 2020 was when I started my TikTok, which kind of changed everything for me now, being more of I hate this phrase, thought leader or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
There's got to be a better way to say it. Authority in the space. Started because of the pandemic for myself as well. So it was a blessing in disguise. I know for my stuff, I'm not saying, some people might be listening and be like, wow, that sounds ignorant. But I do think it gave people a chance to do a restart wherever they were in life and reflect.
Right. What was the TikTok journey like? What did you start? What was the goal? Did you have any ideas in mind when you started? Because I've seen the videos. I mean, they're pretty, not to be rude, they're basic but they're just knowledgeable. They're just short and sweet.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's why I love TikTok, because I am not a video editor
right.
at all. And I definitely never claim to be one. I'm not good at it. But I started that TikTok in March 2020 because I was bored. I was in my mom's basement because I had left New York City, because everyone was saying, get out of New York City. So I was in my mom's basement and I was like, all right, we don't know how long this is going to happen right now. I don't know the next time I'm going to be out of this house. Like, I got to not lose my mind right now. Let me check out this teen app, or, that's the theme in my story here. Nothing was planned ever. I don't plan any of this stuff. It just comes.
But why do you think it was such a success? Is it because like it's such a younger audience and then they saw this whole new perspective or a way to make it, I guess? Is that why it was so popular?
Yeah. I mean, to this day, I've been on TikTok now, a while, and I know all the other people who are killing it in their respective spaces. And I think it was two things. Like, one, that I just got on there and started sharing information to younger people about something different than having abs or being in a bathing suit, which like, that's all, that's awesome too. Like, whatever.
You can do both. Why can't you do both?
You can do both. Exactly. And I got on there, and I think, it might have been unique that I was someone in my 20s posting about how to start a business, how to make money online. And I still don't really know that many other people who their niche is freelancing and posting about it. I think there's like 4 other people. And at this point, we've all befriended each other, and that's kind of it. So it's like, I'm kind of the Fiverr, influencer person. And I think that's another thing that helped with the growth.
Yeah. Content is fun too. You can always do it and, on the side, and eventually can generate passive income. So it's another good avenue. And I'm sure you know that. I don't need to tell you that. The Fiverr stuff, you've written how many thousands of like posts? What's your average customer? I'm curious to know how this works, I guess. I don't know much about this gig.
Yeah. So for my Fiverr stats, it says I've like completed over 11,300 orders, which doesn't even actually account for how many different pieces of writing were booked per order. So I work with a team now, so I'm not going to sit here and say I did all 11,300 orders, but I've definitely written over 11,000 pieces of content for sure. No, I mean, the average client on Fiverr is like 3 different types. It's an agency that wants to outsource all of their blogs and press releases and all that crap to me. They'll buy like 10 each time. It's the small business owner or the entrepreneur who's by themselves, and it's worth it to them to pay me $200 to do XYZ while they run their business. Or it's a large corporation gets on there too. And it's like, typically people who are actually outsourcing the work and their bosses don't know that they're outsourcing the work.
Really?
Oh yeah, I get a lot
funny.
of those. And they're willing, they get a certain budget for their department, so then they'll just pay me their budget.
And for them, it's like a win because they're gonna make more or something, right?
Exactly, and they're hiring the expert, so it's like they feel confident giving my press release to their boss. So it's a funny mix on there, yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. That's cool. So okay, those are the clients. What are the biggest drawbacks of freelance remote work and what's the downside of this that people don't talk about?
Two things. The isolation, the loneliness of it. And that's why I've tried to make like different online communities for freelancers, because I've had moments in my journey with this where I've wanted to quit because I've had buyers be totally out of line, or I've had orders refunded or whatever. And you're all alone, you can't tell anyone about it. I'm trying to fix that for everyone. That sucks. And the other thing is really there's no days off, and you don't have to actually be at your computer working every day. But for example, I was just in Miami the last 2 days this weekend, and you can't just not sign on to your freelancing business, because the whole point of it is, if someone placed an order on Thursday, they expect you to deliver something Saturday or Sunday. And that's just kind of how this goes if you want to make a lot of money at it. So I've had, no days off in 6 years. I don't mind it though, because I like it. It's
sure.
That's kind of the thing. But yeah, that's when I tell people that, they're like, ooh, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm just going to be real with you guys and let you know, I've busted my ass. So that's the other downside. You have to bust your ass.
Right. But I think the comparison is what, like a desk job, which you might think you have, which I've had 3 years of cubicle work and engineering. It's just as stressful. I mean, the problems that you don't just have problems on freelance. You have problems at work, and you think your boss is on your side, and like most of the time he doesn't care. Like get your job done, figure it out, fucking tell me later. So I think, I don't know, to me the benefits have always outweigh the drawbacks.
Always. And I felt the same way too, because it's like at an office job, you work really hard Monday through Friday to unplug for 2 days and pretend you don't hate your life.
Sure.
Then you come back Monday, and to me, it's better that I get to be wherever I want to be every day, even if I have to put a little bit of time in. It's like staggering it. So it doesn't, it's a better trade-off to me for sure.
For me, I've always kept this one little thing here on my desk where it reminds me like how much I hated the cubicle. It's just like a name tag. It's all it is. It's just a name tag. And I look at it sometimes like, you know what? I think if I can figure out how to do this, like I'll remotely, I think I'm still in the better like spot.
That's cool. So it's like your motivator when you look at it, you're like, never again.
But when I have like a down day, so like, I'm like, oh man, I really don't feel like doing this, or I don't feel like doing whatever, editing or whatever. I just look at it, I'm like, I could be in a cubicle, wake up at 7 a.m., drive an hour to work, be in traffic, work with people I don't like.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool. That's a cool
I
thing.
stole that before they got to me anyway.
Yeah.
So you put 6 years, 7 years. You're probably tired of this writing, I would say, right? What's the next plan? What's the big move?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm tired of it. Like I'll always write every day of my life. I love writing, but the entrepreneur in me is bored. That's
Sure.
the word. I'm bored because I feel like I did it. And what's next? Yeah. So right now I'm focusing a lot on, I actually just launched it today, called freelancingstories.com, which is designed to be kind of like the first blog news site for freelancers. Would love to morph it into like for all gig economy people, and a dream, of course.
What's gig economy? Sorry.
What's the gig economy?
Yeah.
That's just the term people use for everybody who's out in this, entrepreneur wild west with Uber drivers, TaskRabbit people, freelancers, people who don't have bosses. And it's growing, the amount of people in the gig economy is growing. And I feel like, we don't have any access to normal stuff. So my dream would be to turn that into a magazine at some point. That would be amazing. And I'm actually
a physical magazine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I would love that.
Why not?
We need more sexy business stuff out here. I feel like we need to promote this stuff more.
It's you at your desk with your laptop out, just like
totally. Or a digital nomad magazine, maybe.
Sure.
Hotter.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah. Other thing I'm working on is actually a book proposal, which I'm very excited about. Have a long way to go to get it accepted and everything. But once that's accepted, you will see me fall off the face of the earth for 3 months to write a book. So that's always been my dream. So I'm going to give it my all. And then otherwise, just kind of heading in the direction my brand is naturally going, which is I'm doing more, coaching, mentoring stuff, helping people more, creating more content. Is kind of just where it's naturally going anyway.
Are you doing more? Are you doing any consulting or?
Yeah, I have a consulting gig on Fiverr. I just
hustle. Yeah, fair.
I mean,
smart.
I don't know if I love consult. It's kind of a funny thing. I almost don't love being paid to help people in that way. I kind of almost just rather keep posting on TikTok and be like, just watch my TikToks instead. I have to figure that all out, the brand of all that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. If I could do some consulting, but I don't know. I've seen YouTube consulting stuff and it looks just really lame. I'd rather make a video. Hey, this is what I did. You can do it too. I don't know. I'll get paid 7 cents per view for ad revenue and everything else I'll be fine with.
I know. That's another thing I'm trying to do is get my YouTube to 4,000 watch time.
Yeah, okay. How's that going? This is something I can probably weigh in on.
Yeah, I have I think 8K followers, and I have not hit that 4,000 because I haven't been posting until recently. So I'm up to 3,000 hours, I think, and I'm just trying to hit that 4,000. Might be another month or two, though. Yeah. Just
do a podcast. That's the real move.
I actually have my own podcast, but I haven't had guests on yet. I just started a couple months ago, and it's just me flipping out about freelancing things for 18 minutes each time. But nice. This fall, I want to then start actually having guests on like you're doing right now.
Nice. Okay. Let's try to steal my goddamn business, right? That's a good move, though. I think YouTube's going to be really, really interesting because it's a lot about watch time, and that's how your videos are going to do well. First of all, tutorial videos do really well on YouTube in general. If they're long and have actual meaningful information, they also become shareable. So yeah, if you can bring 10% of your Instagram following, which is, I don't know why it's so hard to bring people from one platform to another.
I know.
But if you can do it, it's going to be pretty straightforward, I think.
I know. You know what my problem is? Because YouTube is predominantly male viewers, as opposed to women, or a lot of it can be.
Is it really?
It definitely is more than a TikTok and an Instagram, which is way more skewed towards women. So my followings tend to be much more women follow me. So I think that when I get on YouTube, I think that's why it doesn't transfer over. Because to be honest, I don't really like YouTube and I never use it. It's just not appealing to me. So I was like, maybe that's why I'm struggling to bring people over. I have to figure out how to be more dude friendly on YouTube.
Dude friendly. Yeah. All right. Yeah. You're right. I'm looking at my analytics. It's 98.9% males in the last 28 days in the views. 1.1 females. Shout out to anyone, a lady out there that's one. It's like my mom downloading the. Thanks, Mom.
Oh my God. See, that's your little tip for this. Maybe go make a video that appeals to women more or something. I don't know how.
I don't know. Yeah. If you solve your problem, let me know if you've got a solution to mine.
Yeah.
What else let's talk about what else you enjoy doing outside of Fiverr and outside of freelance, because I've also not seen much information about that. Just about yourself in general.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to work on that with my social media presence because I've hidden behind my business wall all this time. Because I'm actually kind of a private person, which people would say oh no, she's not. She's all over everything. I'm like, but yeah, I don't actually post about.
I saw your house tour. I know where your couch is located.
Yes. Couch is actually directly that way right now.
Is this the kitchen?
This is the kitchen. Yes.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Okay. I did see the house tour.
The work-life balance is a little rough right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely sacrificing life for work, and it's worth it to me. I'm 28 and I've kind of always planned to do that till I'm 30 and then maybe calm down a bit. Would love to be normal and have a family and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But for right now, I just, outside of work, I travel, I go to music festivals.
Nice.
I have a cat.
Okay, yeah, crazy cat lady, standard.
Yes. In the making. Yeah. Living
situation wise, are you also giving tips on, where's the best place to live, tax implication wise, and the other kind of stuff?
I moved to Florida in December because I had hit a point where I was paying, 18, 19K to New York State every year, and for what,
In taxes?
Yeah, because if you make, if your taxable income is like 350K, of course that's how much you owe New York State. So I was like, this is so dumb. Like, I can fly to New York and visit people. Like, why am I doing this? So I moved to Florida because there's no state income tax and it's funny. There's actually a lot of business people here. I've been happy living here because I'm networking more actually than I used to in New York because all the entrepreneurs are down here in Florida because of the tax implications.
Of course. Or Texas, right? Texas is a big one for the US.
Texas and Nevada. Yep, those are the big ones. So yeah, that is why I moved here because I'm going to save, 18K this year.
Right.
Which is crazy, and the property taxes are way lower here or on the west coast of Florida. Definitely probably not on the east coast of Florida. Yeah, that's kind of a decision I always told myself I was going to make. And, I definitely miss a lot of my friends still up in New York right now. But that's kind of the journey of being a business person at times is if you want to, move ahead in certain capacities in your life, you end up feeling alone for a lot of it. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get the hell out of here. I'm trying to go to Spain in a couple months, but to freelance. But I was thinking like that's a big part of freelancing that I feel like doesn't get mentioned a lot because the ability to work anywhere, but you're also, I don't know if it works the same on Fiverr, but you're not getting taxed on that money right away, right?
No, I do like estimated. Yeah, no, I do like estimated quarterly payments every 3 months. Right,
so you can invest that money as opposed to a regular 9 to 5, which the paycheck you're getting is already, they take the tax out, right?
Yeah. So like Fiverr doesn't take the taxes out for you. Like you have to do that yourself, which people get all like worked up about.
Why do they get worked? That's actually a benefit. Like you can save and more and invest for the, basically, yeah, you have that year to invest whatever in some super low risk stocks or whatever, bonds, mutual funds.
Yeah, no, people get so funny about taxes. I think they're like so afraid to do their taxes incorrectly or something. And I always say, guys, go use a CPA then, or, don't let taxes be what stops you. And if anything, you save money in taxes when you work for yourself because you have write-offs and deductions and like your house. I get to claim, I think like 25% of the value of my house as my home office because I work from home.
Right. I forgot about that.
So it's like, there's all these different cool incentives and tax breaks and whatnot if you are your own boss. So
that's a good video.
I always say to people like, don't be scared of taxes. You're going to save them actually. So, don't let that be the reason.
That's a really good video, by the way. I would write that one down.
Yeah, no,
I'm sure you have it.
I've like become a like de facto like tax advisor, and I'm like, guys, don't listen to me. Like I'm, just take my advice generally.
Right. What's the biggest thing people come to you and that's like their biggest fear or the biggest reason they don't want to do this? Let's say, is it a mental thing or is it a skills thing? What is it?
It's all mental. It's just people being scared, and I see like the biggest scapegoats for their fear are taxes, healthcare. And people will just admit they're like, I'm just afraid I'm going to fail. And I say to them, that's a fair fear to have. But with freelancing, it costs nothing. It costs you nothing to sign up on Fiverr. All you need is your laptop. Like it has never been more low risk in history to do business as it is right now. Like you did not have to go take out, a year-long rent on Main Street for a commercial space. You aren't in debt to a bank for this. So what if you fail? You're fine. And I'll kind of say that to people and they'll look at me. I guess you're right, but
you think like a desk job is secure, and realistically that's not 100%
not anymore. Not anymore.
The automotive industry was a good example of that. Like engineering in 2007 or whatever year it was when it was like the big collapse and Ford, GM, Chrysler were almost I think they were in bankruptcy. They got bailed out. But good luck getting an engineering job if you're anywhere in that area in the automotive industry. It's going to be a nightmare.
Oh, for sure. And because of COVID, how many industries got taken down because of that? Like, or people now are just getting like furloughed because the company's moving in a different direction or fired because they don't like what you said in an email. It's like, the job security, I think that was once there. I just don't believe is there anymore.
Yeah, I think diversity is enormous just in everything. If you can find a way to, get passive income and then have decent investments and if you really want, you could get a part-time job potentially somewhere. Like it's not the end of the world if you need support, you're not making enough at the start, let's say.
Oh my God. Yeah. And there's so many ways to make money today. Like I even say to people, if you are like in a situation, you sign up on that app called Wag, where you literally walk people's dogs for them and you can
That's a
still make
thing?
up like, oh my God. But there's an app like that for everything. So it's like, you can make $30 an hour walking people's dogs just to make your rent if you're afraid you're going to be homeless. Or it's like, there are so many ways to make money today. And that's always what I'm trying to like share with people is, there's just so many more ways to make money, I think, than people realize.
Yeah, the traveling was enormous for me. Even before I knew about you, I knew just the trip to like Rome, and I met this random Russian girl, and we started talking. I'm like, hey, like, why are you in Rome? She's like, oh, I write blogs for a Russian. Like, I'm like, oh,
that's cool.
That's a thing. All right, so like, how long can you stay? She's like, I can live here forever. I'm like, all right,
that's awesome.
Then I went to Portugal, and some guy's like, yeah, I like to surf on the beach. I'm like, all right, how do you make a living? He's like, oh, I give like guided tours, and like I make videos for them. I'm like, of course you do. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you don't need much to survive in one of these like countries that like I think Portugal is probably like I don't know 1,000 euros a month is like the average income, let's say.
Yeah, or all the digital nomads who go to Mexico and Bali and all these places where for $400 a month you are fine.
Yeah, and you live like on a little villa in Bali with like your own view of the sunset rising every morning. Like,
yep, I know. No, I see it. I mean, I just see there's so much opportunity today that when people kind of come to me with that defeatist, like closed mindset to all of it, I like almost lose patience because I'm like, maybe 100 years ago, I get it, but not today. Like, come on, guys, I'm rooting for you. You guys got this.
It's hard to be like, no, you can't do it when like you've done it. It's hard to be like, yeah, I totally get it. Like, yeah, I don't anymore. Maybe I did, let's say 5 years ago, but like I've achieved it now. I know I can do it. Question is, do you want to do it? Right.
Exactly. And it's more, it's on every app now. Like you scroll through your feed, like you're aware of it. It's not like you're no longer aware of it. You know about it anyway.
Right. And I also wanted to ask you had a video about imposter syndrome and like a little bit more about information about that and why you feel about, these certain things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a normal feeling. I think that pretty much every entrepreneur or freelancer has on their journey. And I, felt it a lot when I first started out. And I read that women are more likely to feel it more so than men, just based on like biological makeup and everything. So, women overthink things and we're more likely to be critical and say, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified for this and all these different thoughts that naturally go through your head. And I remember a few times starting out when I was all alone with this, that those feelings almost stopped me. They could have if I let them, but I'm very stubborn. So I kept going. And each time you conquer that feeling, you get more confident as a business person and you become more successful at anything you're going to now go do in your life, because that type of self-esteem is invaluable in business. So I talk about it a lot now so that if people are feeling it, they're less likely to quit. Because they're like, oh, okay, if she felt it, then this is normal and this is okay. And that's why I just talk about it a lot, because I know it's a real feeling. And I know women especially feel it in business, because it's not always normal that women, be entrepreneurs or be bosses or whatever.
Does this happen like this happens to people that are kind of succeeding a little bit, right? That's the issues with people succeeding, not with the ones that are failing. It's the ones that are, oh, I'm making actually a good income. Is that the problem? Like they're not aware or they're not able to understand like they're actually worth that kind of value, let's say.
Yeah, I feel like that is even a different feeling that I feel often. That one, I would even call that imposter syndrome. That's almost like, I don't know what I would call that one, but I feel that one a lot where I'm like, why me? Or am I really this, or have I really done that? And I'll constantly have a battle in my head where half of my head's trying to say like, no, you did. Cause I don't have, quite the same like ego as a man would per se. So it's like a guy would just be like, no, yeah, you did it. You're the man. All right, let's go eat a sub or something. And a woman that was like, oh, I don't know, like, am I worth that? Am I not? And I'll always think of all these business books that I read. And the guys in it will be much more confident with that. And I'll be like, no, this is what
bunch of liars,
would say. And I'll be like, no, you are worth that. And that plays into, I think, fear of success is just as much a problem as fear of failure. And a lot of people don't realize that they'll make up excuses because they're actually afraid to be successful, because then people will watch them if they fail.
Right. That's huge. I think what's the average person that gets into this? Do they end up making I think you were probably like an exceptional story where you figured out not only how to make this work, but then how to also scale it. The average person that just wants to say, hey, I'm just tired of my job, I want the other benefits, is that a normal thing for people to, like, the route to take?
Yeah, I mean, I have people every single day will write to me and say, hey, I saw your stuff. I got started and it took me 1 month and I'm making $2,000 a month already at it. So I think the average person can very easily get to 60, 70, 80K a year doing this. Multiple studies have said, 70% of freelancers make more than their salaried counterparts. So
really?
It's actually expected that you are going to make more at this than if you had stayed at a job. Naturally, though, it's not going to fall into your lap. So you have to make effort, but you're more likely to make more money if you go do this. So I think the average person, it makes a pretty good living at this.
That's actually, I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because now that you're doing well financially, it's like, do you have that same drive and motivation to keep, going up? Because you've kind of reached a ceiling, I would say 99% of people will not hit, right? So how does that affect, what you want to do next?
Yeah, exactly. I have hit a ceiling and I don't operate with ceilings. That's when I get like, oh, I don't like this.
Right.
So I have felt that I have hit the freelance writing ceiling, which is amazing. And I'm now very excited to share all that I know with people. But yeah, that's, I think, a major reason why I want to go move on now to go do all these other things, like run a news site, write a book, a whole new set of challenges to suffer through.
Just like that's really fun for you. You're not even thinking about like necessarily, okay, I need to make $1 million out of this. I want to make sure that I enjoy what I'm doing at this point.
Absolutely. And I'm even more one of those people. I care more about creating value and making a difference and doing something, in this life than just collecting money. And I always say that's what's so funny is that I never set out to make money, make the money I am. I didn't know you could make this money writing. Are you kidding me?
Sure.
Are you kidding? I set out for freedom. And it's funny because then the money came along the way. And I often see that is how it works with so many people. When you don't obsess over money every day, all of a sudden you start making pretty good money.
Yeah. And I think these people that do, have that perspective need a real check, because money isn't a solution to every problem. You don't just wake up one day, oh, I have $1 million. Now I don't have problems. You still have problems. They're just different problems,
Exactly. No, that can't be why you do it. So I always say to people, the why needs to be that you want to be free, that you want to have freedom of where you go, you want to travel. That needs to be your why. It can't be.
It needs to be something deeper, something a little more rooted, because if it's deep enough, then you can sustain it. If it's very shallow and simple, eventually it'll crack, kind of, right?
100%. And you also need to always have, I think, multiple reasons why you're doing something. Cause my one friend was explaining to me, entrepreneurs, we set up our days where we get little dopamine hits each day where, when you check something off the list, that's
right.
a little hit.
I have a little checklist every day.
Because you get your little
I get my little fix.
Yeah. Or people even get it if you hit a certain follower count on a social media app, that'll give it to you too. That might be a bad side of it, but it's you always need to have, I think, multiple things you're reaching for, because I hit my Fiverr goal. I made $1 million in September 2020. And if that was all that I ever, aspired to do, imagine how depressed you are.
Yeah. You'd never be happy. It's a bottomless pit.
No.
Right?
So you need to, I think, always have these humanitarian level goals of, I want to help people. Okay, well that you'll never,
or I want to be more time with my family, or something that's much more valuable, forever. Right? Yeah,
and that you'll never be on the other side of, because then you'll be depressed.
Right. Learning new skills are always these are things that I found helpful.
Loving to learn, great one. Yeah. Do
you think school? What are your thoughts on school? I guess, and schooling and university in terms of freelance, and what do you think school is kind of a needed thing or no?
I've had some educators get mad at me for what I've been posting, because I've been pretty vocal about my thoughts on our schooling, because I, at 22, had realized that our schooling had wholly failed us, actually, when I saw, what it set me up for. I don't actually believe you need higher education to become a freelancer. I don't. And people used to say, well, what about for writing? Don't you need a college degree? You have a college degree. And I go, maybe in the last 6 years, yes, but it's all changing so much. Not a single person on Fiverr has ever asked me for proof of my college degree.
Right.
And the first question they asked me, can I see your portfolio?
Right.
That's it. They don't care where you went to college. They don't care what fancy master's degree you have. They don't care about any of it. They care, can you fulfill what they need done in 2 days? And can you do a good job and shut up while you do it? That's it. That's it. It's very black and white. So I don't think you need fancy schooling at all for this. I don't even think you need college education for this.
I'm in the kind of same, like, I'm in agreement with you because I've also have a degree right there. And when I first got my engineering degree, I started applying for jobs. You know, I would say I got like 99%, like, didn't return my calls or whatever.
Yeah.
And then in the last year, I started applying for angel list jobs around, you know, CEO optimization, content. Not a soul asked me about what my background was. They're like, let's see what you've created. I'm like, bang, here's 30 videos that I've done.
Yep.
They see, okay, you can edit. Oh, okay, you're okay in front of a camera. Oh, okay, you know how to like title a video, everything, all these little things. And funny enough, I actually got way more responses percentage-wise on AngelList in a field I have zero education in than in a degree where I not only had a degree, I had 3 years of experience, and I would still probably get less calls back. Because it's oversaturated. It's like there's 1,000 people that graduate with an engineering degree every year from like my local university. So it's like, where are all the jobs? I mean, I get it. Like there's a bunch of them, but eventually you hit a cap, right?
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with all of it. I will have people, they'll say like, oh, where'd you get your college degree from? Or like, does that matter? And I'm like, no. And honestly, when I hire writers for my team, and I'll ask people for their resume, I'm giving my secrets away here. I'm not actually looking at where you went to college on that resume. I'm actually looking at, did you put effort into creating a resume without typos in it? That's all I'm looking for. I don't care where the heck you went to college or if you even did. And I say to people now, if you're going to go to college and come out with student debt, don't go then. Because one of the biggest things that stops people from having financial independence is debt. So, if there's no way for you to go to college and not come out without debt, I say screw college, take a 16-week boot camp and learn basic coding. That's the first thing I would recommend you go learn and go from there.
It's very situational, like where you're at in the world, right? America has enormous tuition costs. If you're in Europe, you can get a free education in most places.
And go, sure. I mean, learning is great. So it's like, whenever I say this, I'm not hating on the act of learning history stuff. I love history and everything. I'm more so like hating on how our system has now been created around this information that's already free online for you to just go read.
Right. Yeah. And now it's funny enough that we've gotten to a place where almost all education is online. Like I'm currently doing a master's and it's like, what's the point of this? Like, why am I paying you guys to do this? But the funny part to me was like the shift that happened. So a couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember, there was like the University of Phoenix memes and they're like, oh, it's a college degree online. Oh,
yeah, I do actually.
And then now everyone's like, well, we can support an online education. And they're all like praising it. Like they're in a business as well. They're also trying to sell you a product, whether, you think that product is higher or like on the, hierarchy scale, like, oh my God, an education is the most fair, but it's still a product, right?
Yeah. No, totally. And I do remember that people like mocking that. And now that's everything.
Technically, they should be the best university on the planet. If we're going to use that logic, because they've been doing it the longest. So they've actually had like an established system of courses, everything. Yeah. Everyone else that came secondary either copied from them in some way where they didn't even think about it, or they directly copied their structure. Yeah. Which is kind of hilarious to me, I think.
Totally. I often find when people are ahead of their time with stuff they're made fun of, everyone, they're mocked and whatnot because people don't understand it. And then look at them now.
Right.
But I mean, plus with like online courses today, it's like, oh, for $47, you can literally learn how to make 6 figures per year. $47
right.
Or $57, $8, whatever it is. So I just see college becoming more and more obsolete. And I wish that wasn't the case, but I also don't understand why they need to charge $60K a year. Like what is that money going to? Like, what is that paying for? I don't understand.
That's an absurd amount of money, especially in American universities. Like I know people that have come out with an engineering degree, and I'm working at a guy next to my So I went to Canada, which is still not the cheapest in the world, but it's relatively affordable. Let's say my degree was 40,000 Canadian. I'm sitting next to a guy who works the same job as me, or we're both engineers. He's come out with 200,000 USD debt. I've come out with 40,000 Canadian. I'm like, this doesn't add up to me. Like something's wrong here.
No, I mean, you shouldn't really be coming out with any because when you're young and in your 20s, that's when you should be experimenting with all these things and learning what you like, what you don't like, how to make money here, how to make money there. And you can't do that without debt.
Right. And there's also a big emphasis on like doing it right away and getting a degree. It's like the most important thing, where some places they value like, hey, take some time off, like maybe travel, maybe do something, figure out what you like doing in life before you commit 4 years to a degree.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah,
there's no
don't get me started on this stuff. Yeah, I definitely don't think that institutionalized education is doing anyone any favors right now with any of this. Yeah.
Believe it or not, we're at 50 minutes. I mean, I have asked everything I kind of wanted to go over with. I hope people have found this educational. Is there anything you're working on? You want to plug your YouTube channel, TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, my YouTube channel's okay. I'm working on it, guys. I have a lot more content coming out. So it's just Alexandra Fasulo on there. I do always say, if you're thinking about becoming a freelancer, or if you are one, definitely join my Facebook group. It's free and it's its own like little support network in there. It's really cool watching everyone help each other. So I always plug that one, and it's called Freelancing Mentorship with Alexandra Fasulo.
Okay,
then the rest you guys can find. I mean, it's just Alex Fasulo, Alexandra Fasulo on everything.
Okay, I'll find it. I'll link it in the description or something. But yeah, I think the group is really good because it's a bunch of people that are now having the same problems. It's like you don't feel alone. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I love that. I made that a couple months ago, and I actually never thought it would become so amazing. It's like one of my favorite things to like check in on every day.
Are you also on Discord or no? Have you been using Discord?
I have not downloaded that yet. What is that like what is that?
It's so a lot of YouTubers and Twitch people use it. It's a place to build a community, has a bunch of different chats. People can come in and talk to each other, type. There's also like voice chats and video chats if you want to like, it's kind of a place to meet other people that are a fan of, let's say, like a creator or a type of content.
Interesting.
So it's pretty cool. And also, like, if you're a content creator, that's a place. Hey guys, I just did a course, or I uploaded a video. If you're interested, check it out. Like, you can also promote your stuff to your audience, which is like your hardcore fans are the ones that are in your Discord. Like, they're that interested in what you have to make.
Yeah, exactly. Because I guess I'm like, who would join that? But I guess
it's like you and your mom and
probably a couple thousand people.
No, you have, yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I'm going to write that one down. Also,
these skills that like running a Discord is, people don't think about stuff, but that's like community management. That's also a skill set. Like, some people think like these things are a waste of time, but there's always a way to market it. If you can manage a community on Discord, you can turn that into, hey, I can manage like a Twitter feed. I can manage a social media handle. Like, right. So use that kind of towards your advantage.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. That's on my to-do list this week. Check it out.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was fun.